All right, rise and shine, everyone. Thank you for joining us on air and streaming on the KARE 11 app here on this Monday. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. I'm Jason Hackett alongside Alicia Lewis. Those storms made a bit of noise last night.
Pretty noisy. So let's go to Ben Derry in for John this morning. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Yep, it was a busy evening yesterday, but the severe weather for the most part stayed down to our south. Many of us did pick up some beneficial rain, however, and things are relatively quiet this morning. You can see some isolated storms just south and east of the Twin Cities, but for the most part, the daylight hours are going to stay dry today. It's this evening and overnight. That's when we'll see that renewed chance for stronger thunderstorms and even some severe weather across southeastern Minnesota. Here's the 24-hour precip totals. MSP picked up over an inch. Most of the heavy rain stayed across southern Minnesota, and unfortunately, central and northern Minnesota just didn't see a whole lot of rain. We do expect there to be some storms in that part of the state later this evening, where a quarter to a half an inch of rain is expected. Temperatures are going to take a hit. We're at 57 degrees right now. We're going to top into the upper 60s today, but then guess what? Upper 50s for forecast highs Tuesday and into Wednesday of next week. Today, mainly cloudy. You can see temperatures in the upper 60s by later this afternoon with a light northwesterly breeze developing. So evening and overnight storms. The severe threat is across southeastern Minnesota, where wind damage is the main threat. And we'll talk more about that chilly forecast coming up. Let's take a look at your morning traffic with Cece. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. 5:02. With that rain we got overnight, you will see some damp roads as you make your way out the door this morning. Nothing that should slow you down, though, which is good. It looks like things are drying out for the most part, but something to keep in mind as you get ready this morning. I know there was a huge project this weekend on 94, both directions shut down for the weekend. That project is done now, so both sides are back open this morning as you make your way into work. Taking a look here at traffic flow, things are all green this morning, not seeing any crashes at the moment. I'll update you, of course, if that changes. I'll also be updating you about projects happening this morning down in Rosemount. Then later tonight, there are some closures on 94 and 494. I'll tell you about all of them over the next couple of hours.
Cece, thank you. We'll check back in a little bit. Well, as Ben mentioned, our severe weather threat is now over.
But it didn't leave the metro unscathed. Audrey Russo's at the live desk with a fire that devastated one family's home. Audrey, good morning.
Good morning. The dry weather mixed with lightning strikes, pretty much a recipe for disaster across the entire state. Take a look at this video out of Minnetonka from overnight. It's brand new. Crews believe lightning may have been the cause of this fire. Now, taking a look at the outage map in Minnesota, about 10,000 customers are now without power across 81 outages. The good news, though, the cooling temperatures should bring down the risk of wildfires. The bad news, of course, is that lightning from storms like the one last night do make it easier for dry conditions for house fires to start. Now, we spoke to the chief from Minnetonka, who describes what the homeowners heard moments before their attic went up in flames.
Homeowners called in, they heard a loud boom, and then called 911 and then smelled the smoke and so on and so forth. And then with the storms rolling through the area, at this point, this is what that looks like.
Now, up north, they are not expected to get rain as much, which makes problems like the Flanders fire and the Stewart Trail fire more of a hazard. I've got updates on those situations coming up in about 30 minutes, but for now, I'll send things back to you.
All right, Audrey, thank you. And our weather team is keeping an eye on the rain. You can get the latest on our free streaming app. Just scan the QR code on your TV to download. We'll also have the most up-to-date information on KARE11.com.
Taking a live look at the state capitol. The 2026 legislative session is in the books. Lawmakers worked down to the wire, passing several bills before the 11:59 deadline. Our Danny Spiewak was there all night. He's breaking down what's heading to the governor's desk.
State lawmakers have met their deadline to pass bills in the 2026 legislative session. They had to do it by 11:59 p.m. Sunday night, and a lot of the big items did get done, though it did take until the final hours. That includes stabilization funding for Hennepin County Medical Center. Of course, that had been a huge issue at the end of the session, with county officials warning that the hospital could close without state intervention by as early as this summer. Well, they're going to get more than $200 million in immediate assistance, and then we'll be able to tap into $500 million in reserve funding through 2031. The other big item that got done in the final hours was the bonding bill, $1.2 billion for infrastructure projects across the state. So that's a big win for the divided legislature, which again is the most narrowly divided legislature in the country, with a tied House and the Senate being controlled by Democrats by one vote. They also got some other stuff done in the final hours, such as the Medicaid Fraud Control Unit funding for the Attorney General's office. That was something that had been pushed for throughout the session. But there was a lot that didn't get done. The Democratic priorities around guns and immigrations and customs enforcement, for example, there were no bipartisan solutions found on that. The gun restrictions and assault weapons ban that the Senate passed with Democratic control did not come up for a floor vote in the House, controlled by Republicans. And at the very last minute, on the last night of session last night, the Democrats tried to push an urgency around the ICE bill, but that also failed.
Now, Danny will be back at the Capitol today to follow up on what these changes mean for you. Some other things that passed: lowering car tab fees, social media protections, and property tax relief.
Less than 3 hours, Luigi Mangione will be back in court for a key hearing in his state trial. The 28-year-old is accused of killing United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson in New York City back in 2024. Now, the judge is expected to rule on what evidence lawyers can present in trial, including the items found in his backpack when he was arrested. Mangione's team argues it was illegal for police to search his backpack without a warrant. The judge could also set a trial date.
We're live in the Netherlands right now, where the cruise ship at the center of the deadly hantavirus outbreak docked in just the last few hours. The crew and medical staff were the only ones left on the boat as it arrived this morning. None of them are showing symptoms, but they will go into quarantine. The ship will be cleaned and disinfected.
New this morning, the CDC says at least 6 Americans were exposed to Ebola virus in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The World Health Organization is now calling the outbreak a global health emergency. The agency is working to withdraw the group and bring them to a quarantine location. At least 88 people have died, with more than 300 suspected cases. Officials say this rare strain of the virus does not have any approved vaccines or treatments, raising concerns about transmission.
We are in a difficult situation, absolutely, but so care for the patients is really absolutely the priority now. Isolation, and also making sure that those who care for people are protected and don't get contaminated.
The U.S. is also sending resources to help with contact tracing, surveillance, and lab testing.
Right now, slight relief at the gas pump. AAA reporting in just the last few hours, gas prices in Minnesota are sitting at an average of $4.40 a gallon. That's 1 cent down from yesterday, but still 73 cents higher than a month ago. All of this comes as millions of Americans get ready to travel for Memorial Day weekend.